Welcome to Built from Scratch. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about the 7 steps to launching your business today. For context, my name is Eric Libby. I'm the founder and CEO of the To-Do Dudes, a home service company in Palm Coast, Ormond Beach, and Daytona Beach, Florida, that connects students to homeowners that need help with chores. And I make these videos because I love to talk about business, anything around that, entrepreneurship, and all. So in this video, I'm going to be speaking more to the people that have never started a company, looking for those first steps on what it takes to actually build a business. So right at the get-go, there are 7 steps. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll be able to see that. Otherwise, for those listening, I'm going to still read them out loud. Step 1 is defining the problem, getting really clear on what we are trying to go after. Number 2 is registering at Sunbiz or, of course, your local state website, making it official. The third one is opening up a bank account. You have to have a way to process payments. Number 4 is starting with the quote unquote core 4, which is right out of Alex Hormozi's playbook on how to start getting leads and customers when you don't know how to do that. Number 5 is having an online presence. That can be social media, website, etc. Number 6 is an actual way to process the payments into your bank. So the platform, the gateway you're going to be using. And number 7 is understanding your costs a little bit more. So to start, defining the problem as step 1. I think many go into the idea of starting a business. And I know I did this for the longest time of what sounds like a cool idea, like this novel, unique, no one's ever done it. But in a lot of cases, there are simple problems that need to be solved, and you can create big businesses around those simple problems. So for us, we define the problem as seniors and busy professionals lack the support with chores. And then on the student side of it, because we have a marketplace model, students are seeking flexible work. And you can go further to say growth opportunities or something that is conducive to them while they are in school with busy calendars, still wanting to make money. But you could put this in so many other examples with this. So another one could be maybe you're extremely good at the SAT and you realize there are many that can't get your 1,500 that you got on the SAT. So maybe there's a tutoring opportunity, a way to charge for the hours that you can tutor someone. Or maybe that you realize that, like our first guest, Olivia Gargett, the cookie and cake pops that people sell are just not very custom. They're not very fun to look at, maybe not good quality. Maybe there's a gap there. Or maybe for our fifth guest, Zach Richards, Caddy Moving, there's an issue with the moving industry, getting reliable help, kind of like the problem that we're solving here. So you got to think, what is the problem? What are people struggling with? And that's going to be step 1 before you even consider starting to create the LLC and all that. You need to understand and even talk to people. What are you experiencing? Okay. Number 2 is once you figure out the problem, then you're going to go register at Sunbiz or your local state website. So if you're watching the video, you can see I just highlighted where you'd go on the website. You go to start your e-filing. Usually, in most cases, you're going to start as a limited liability company. That's just the easiest to get started when you're first creating a business. And that's going to be just your asset protection. If anything happens to you, you get sued or anything, it's a protection against your personal. It separates your personal from the business. And really, the cost of starting that is pretty straightforward. It takes about, for time purposes, it takes about 15 to maybe 45 minutes. And then you're going to submit an $125 payment to file it. You can expect around that cost every year to renew it at the beginning of each year. But very simple. I know the first time when I was first starting this, it took me multiple days because I was analysis paralysis, trying to make the perfect decision. But if you kind of have an idea of what you're trying to do, you just really put in your info and it's just registering with the state. So then now it says you're an official business owner in the state of Florida or wherever state you are actually filing for the LLC. The third one from there, once you get your LLC, you're going to bring that to go open up a bank account. There's 5 things that you're going to have when you're going to open up a bank account. Very similar to when you're doing a personal, except for just a couple nuances. So first one, from when you are submitting the LLC, the state's going to process that, and then they're going to let you know if you're approved. And once you're approved, you'll get these things called articles of incorporation. So basically saying that you're incorporated as a business. And so you'll get a document that you'll want to bring to the bank to show that you're official. Second one is on that, you'll get they call it an employer identification number. Or in another ways, you can say it's like a social security number. You're going to want to bring that to the bank. So it's going to register under the company again. The third one, in some cases, you don't typically need this, but if you do have a partnership, an operating agreement. So that's going to be just a page written out as how much is it divvied out? Like, is it a dual member LLC? Are there a multi-member LLC? Is it just yourself? I remember when I had to do it at the beginning in 2021, I just had to write a little document. They're like, just make it super simple. Just say like, I am the sole owner of this. If anything happens to me, this is who it would go to. And they basically walked me through it. It's very easy to do. Next one, and this is going to be the same, is the last two are going to be the same as if you're opening up your own bank account. But identification documents, that's going to be a credit card or maybe a ID to bring into the bank. They'll want to make sure it's actually you doing it. And then for the final point, which would be an initial deposit. So you're going to want to put a couple dollars down into the account to get it actually funded. Number 4 is the core 4. So now that you have all that structure figured out, then the next step is actually getting customers and trying to reach out and start the business. And so again, this is from Alex Hormozi, but there's 4 things that he talks about that are really helpful at the start. Number 1, and I'm going to focus for those that are listening. You can think there is a matrix box. So there's like, you can think of like a square. There's a square drawn out. And then there's going to be 4 quadrants there. And I'm going to go through each one of them. Visually, obviously, you can see we're just looking at the left side here, core 4 on the left side. So the first one in the top left is going to be warm outreach. So that's usually the first step when you are just getting started on a business. And what the warm outreach is going to be is just reaching out to people you know. So warm outreach, relationship-driven one-to-one. So for example, if you have contacts in your email, have contacts in your phone, on social media, that's always the best place to go ahead and start. And I made another video about this a couple podcasts ago. But reaching out to your already connected people, say you're going to start a car detailing company, start reaching out to people you know and just say, hey, I'm starting this thing. I don't know if you or anyone you know of may need this. And maybe even a good way at the start to just get the word out is just give your service away for free. Like, just put it out there and say, hey, I'm going to take 5 for free. I'm really looking for a couple testimonials. I'm looking to practice. And then you start building a little bit of momentum. And obviously free is not why you start a business, but you have to build momentum and get customers. And sometimes that's a good way to kind of put out some goodwill so then they can help you once you complete it, maybe leave you a review, connect you to someone else who actually will pay. The second one in the bottom left of the square, point 2, is posting free content. And there's a slide, I think one of the next ones that actually talks about this. It's the next slide. And it's just basically distributing it to many people. So instead of one-to-one with warm outreach, this is one-to-many people that know you. So this could be distribution by maybe a newsletter. It could be distribution by maybe a social media channel, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. How are you getting the message out there and distributing it to multiple people? The third one in the top right, now it goes back to one-to-one. So one-to-one reach outs. And this is cold outreach. So you had warm outreach and now you have cold outreach. And for cold outreach, the difference is you know them versus now you don't know them. So this could be a call. It could be an email. It could be, again, a DM. It could be you just trying to get in touch with someone, going to door knock, and you don't know them. And so it's going to convert at a much lower level, but you will be able to get in front of people. So this is another way to actually get in front of your ideal customer. And then the fourth one, and this is probably the last I'd recommend, especially if you're just getting started, you don't have a ton of capital, but it does guarantee to get in front of people, is running paid ads. So that could be maybe in a newspaper. It could be on social media. It could be maybe sending out postcards. And that's typically even people you don't know. It's just reaching a bigger audience. So those are the core 4 ways when you're first starting. It's like you got to get customers. You have your LLC set up. You've gotten your bank account set up. And now it's like, all right, let's get some customers. Now go to the 5th step. It's going to be an online presence. So you get all of your business set up and you're kind of that one-man band at the beginning. You're trying to just figure things out. And people ask, hey, how, like, you do a great service. How could I share your stuff? And then you think, oh, well, I don't know, just give them my phone number. At some point, it may look more professional to have a standing maybe website, social media page, maybe even a Google review page. I didn't put it in the visual here, but a Google review page. So then when they look at it, they can see other testimonials. They can see a little bit better breakdown. And now you don't have to go and answer every question at the start of every call. You can say, hey, check out my website. If this makes sense for you, reach out. We can have a phone call. We can talk about next steps. And so having a, if you, even if you were a physical location, but even if you're not, it's even more important is having a place that they can go. You can guide your audience so they can get more information on your service. So getting a custom domain for all of the social platforms, your website, etc. The sixth one is choosing your payment gateway. And I almost might consider this right after you get the bank account, but this is an important step unless you take payments directly through check or like an ACH payment. But sometimes it's more convenient for your customers to do like a credit card payment or to send your invoices. And sometimes the banks don't have the capability to send actual invoices. So there's a couple examples, maybe Square, maybe Clover, Stripe, PayPal. And it's just when you want to assemble that invoice to send to the customer, you can make it look professional. You can put the date in there, what the services are. There's a lot of good platforms that you could go and put the service product that you're actually offering, and then keep track of all the invoices that are outstanding. So it's not just all over the place. Like, oh, it's in an Excel sheet here. I think this person owes me $150. Keeps it very organized for you. And also it looks very professional for the customer. So you'll choose a payment gateway. Some of them even you can plug into your phone. And if you're doing a service in person, you could have them swipe it right at the end of the job. Keep in mind, a lot of these companies do take a percentage off of your sales. Like it's usually 3%, but that is something that you want to consider, is making it more convenient for customers. And the final one, point number 7, is understanding costs. So obviously you start a business, you're in it to make money. And I think a big lesson, failure, is not understanding the actual costs of the business. And so I wrote down here 5 that I think are pretty important to know. They're very high level. You can get deeper into the weeds, but the first out of the 5 is going to be gross revenue. So it's going to be how much money you're actually bringing in. That's top line revenue. Before any expenses, what is the top dollar amount? A lot of times it's just a vanity metric because you have costs to pay. You have your cost of goods sold, which I'm going to go into next, and your operating expenses and all these other things before you actually make money on it. So that's just purely a top line metric. So you go from gross revenue and then down to COGS, COGS, and that is the cost of fulfillment. For example, if it's a service-based company, and for our case, when we have labor in the field, say we bill a certain amount, which is gross revenue, we'll say it's $40 an hour, and we pay $20 an hour, the cost of goods is going to be $20. So you think of what does it cost to actually fulfill when they order? Perfect world is we don't have any cost of goods, but that's unrealistic. So another example would be, say you're selling cookies. You have to pay for the ingredients and the labor and anything else that goes into actually making that cookie before you can track anything else, before you can get into the gross profit. So it's the fulfillment. It's for each order. It's going to be variable for each order. How much does it cost to fulfill? The third one, after we got gross revenue, we got cost of goods. The next one is we got gross profit. So gross profit is going to be revenue minus fulfillment. And that's going to be gross profit. That's going to be how much money you have left to play with for all your other operating expenses before you get to net profit. So you think revenue, the total top line, the total top number that you're bringing in, minus what it costs to fulfill, that is your gross profit. A lot of times here, people will find a gross profit percentage, which is a good metric to track. Want to get that as high as you can. In some industries, I mean, it can vary so much. Usually labor industry, try and get that over 50%, 60, maybe 70%. For some, maybe it's closer to the 20, 15, 30%, but you really want to try and stretch it. The bigger companies are going to be around 80, 90, 95% for their fulfillment. A little bit harder as a small company. Number 4, so now we have gross revenue, cost of goods, gross profit, and now you have all the operating expenses. This could be marketing, it could be administrative labor, it could be the technology in the CRM systems, the software, maybe supplies you need to run your company. It's everything else after the cost of fulfillment. So then once you get all of those numbers, you get the gross revenue top line, you get cost of goods, fulfillment, you get gross profit, and then operating expenses. You come down to net profit, and that's going to be gross profit minus operating expenses equals net profit. That's how much you have left over after everything is paid. These are 5 very important numbers. It's a very high level, but very important to know as to how to think about the business. And you just want to make sure that the gross revenue isn't the number you're taking home. So it's like looking at how high can you get that net profit, and shooting for like over a 20% is usually the goal. Not all companies can do that, especially as a startup. Sometimes it's difficult, but that is the goal, is trying to get that over 20% so you're taking home a reasonable salary for your company. That is all I have in this video. Try to make it very simple. As I said, it's for that business owner that's just getting started. Even it was helpful for me to put this together and kind of think through like, all right, what was the first things that I considered when first starting the company? So if you found this valuable, maybe you could share it with a friend, let somebody know about it, rate the episode, and all that said, let's crush today. Keep on going.